The insane GM system that did what Ford couldn't. Most historians dismiss the Vega as just a terrible 70s economy car. They are wrong. This was not maintenance. This was a warning. The car was not burning oil, it was consuming itself. This was a mechanical tragedy engineered by Ed Cole, the father of the legendary small block 5.8. While Ford crammed 15 heavy iron block Pintos into standard rail cars, Cole engineered an aerospace-grade logistical cheat shipping 30 Vegas vertically nose down. He added a baffled oil pan and relocated the battery vents purely so the car could survive the train ride. GM built a gravity-defying million-dollar delivery system for a fragile aluminum block car that could not survive 50,000 miles. Why over-engineer the delivery, but under-engineer the product? Let us tear down the Vert A Pac paradox. Hit like, share this forensic teardown, and comment below what is the most catastrophic mechanical failure you have ever experienced. The year is 1970. The subcompact gold rush has erupted. With retail prices pinned near $2,000, profit margins are microscopic. Every dollar shaved off the $300 rail freight charge from Lordstown to the Pacific Coast is pure, unadulterated profit. Ford fights this logistics war with brute force. They load their new 2.0-liter Pintos onto standard open-air auto racks, maxing out at 18 cars per rail car. It is wildly inefficient, leaving vehicles exposed to sparks and corrosive weather. But Ford can afford it. The Pinto is anchored by a heavy, virtually indestructible cast iron block. It is built to survive reality. General Motors, under the aggressive presidency of Ed Cole, refuses this bottleneck. But instead of demanding a better train from Southern Pacific Railroad, Cole exploits a staggering conceptual loophole. He does not engineer a tougher car, he demands the car become its own shipping container. To hit a payload of 30 vehicles per railcar, GM weaponizes empty airspace. Cole mandates the 2,200-pound Vega be engineered to hang perfectly vertical nose down. He transforms a passenger vehicle into modular industrial freight. It is a triumph of spreadsheet optimization over automotive integrity, a logistical cheat that perfectly sets the stage for a mechanical disaster. The Vert A Pac was an 89-foot steel fortress, custom-built by Southern Pacific and GM. Inside, the loading process looked less like an assembly line and more like a bizarre industrial ritual. The sides dropped down to form ramps, Vegas were driven on and secured, and then massive forklifts violently shoved the doors upward, locking the cars into a 90-degree nose-down dive. But here, you hit a brutal law of physics. Standard engines are not designed to fly nose-down. Pitch a conventional inline-4 vertically, and gravity takes over. Oil rushes forward, bypassing piston rings to flood the #1 cylinder. Without intervention, every Vega would be hydro-locked and functionally destroyed before reaching the showroom. To beat this, GM engineers did not improve the engine's durability, they exploited a loophole. They welded a specific metal baffle into the oil pan, a phantom part with zero impact on road performance. It was a structural band-aid designed entirely to trap oil during transit. Then came the battery. Flip a 1970s lead-acid battery, and corrosive acid dissolves the wiring harness instantly. GM's fix? An aeronautic-style battery with filler caps shifted to the rear edge. The Vega was effectively equipped with a battery fit for a stunt plane, just so it could sit in the dark on a train. Even the carburetor was rigged with a dedicated drain tube to the vapor canister to prevent fuel leaks. Millions were spent on 45-degree washer bottles and logistical workarounds. But here is the forensic truth: none of this made the car better. These were not upgrades, they were logistical cheats. Pause for a second and look at the irony. GM was not engineering a revolution for the driver, they were gambling with physics just to please the accountants at Southern Pacific. They were protecting the car from the train, But who was protecting the owner from the car? To understand why the Vega was doomed, ask a 1970s railroader about a violent kinetic force called slack action. A freight train is not a solid block. It is 100 cars tethered by steel couplers with built-in play. When a train accelerates, these couplers crash together, sending whip-like shockwaves down the line. When a Ford Pinto sits horizontally, its suspension absorbs this energy naturally. But a Vega in a Vert A Pac is suspended perfectly vertical, leaving zero suspension travel in that direction. Those brutal shockwaves bypass the shocks entirely, slamming laterally into the engine mounts and unibody. The cars suffered structural fatigue before hitting the asphalt. GM engineers quietly knew this. Their phantom loophole? Assembly workers literally jammed 2x4 wooden blocks into the powertrain mounts to keep the engines from snapping off in transit. The first time an owner turned the key, they felt a strange shudder. They thought it was new car character. They did not realize it was the ghost of 1,000 miles of slack action or a forgotten wooden block. It was actually the sound of a structural failure in progress. The heart of Ed Cole's ambition was the 2300cc inline-4 engine. To cut weight, GM engineers cast the block from a high silicon aluminum alloy called a 390. But here is the fatal engineering loophole to save manufacturing costs. They omitted traditional cast-iron cylinder liners. Instead, they chemically etched the aluminum cylinders, relying purely on exposed microscopic silicon crystals to handle the brutal friction of the pistons. It was a theoretical marvel that became a real-world catastrophe. If the Vega's notoriously undersized cooling system failed, and the engine overheated even once, the soft aluminum warped permanently. Without iron sleeves, the cylinders could not be honed or rebuilt. The entire engine block was by design disposable. Compare that to Ford's heavy Pinto engine using an indestructible iron block that could take endless abuse. Then came the rust. GM heavily marketed their Elpo electrostatic anti-rust coating as a revolution. Yet, Vegas were literally rusting on dealership floors. The culprit? The Vert A Pac. GM sealed these cars inside giant steel containers, traversing humid coastal railway routes. The trapped salt air essentially baked the unibody. Worse, early aeronautic batteries still wept acid when suspended at 90 degrees. Corrosive acid silently dripped down the firewall, pooling under unpainted floorboards. The delivery system was actively dissolving the car before the customer signed the paperwork. By 10,000 miles, that new car character turned into a full-blown crisis. Driving a Vega degenerated into a humiliating ritual. Gas station attendants nationwide knew the exact drill: $10 of gas and 2 quarts of oil. It was not a joke, it was the required dosage to keep warped pistons from seizing. The A390 block was literally eating its own piston rings. By 1977, the Vega was dead. The survivors were kept on the road not by GM's engineering, but by desperate owners violently ripping out the warped A390 aluminum blocks and swapping in junkyard Buick 215 V8s just to have a reliable commute. As the cars hit the scrapyards, the million-dollar Vert A Pac railcars met an equally humiliating fate. Their complex hydraulic doors were unceremoniously torched off by railroads, converting aerospace-grade fortresses back into cheap standard flatbeds. This is the ultimate paradox of Ed Cole's legacy. The mechanical genius who birthed the legendary Chevrolet small block Viator V8 became so blinded by spreadsheet mathematics that he inadvertently paved the road for Japanese automakers to conquer America. In the end, the math was perfect, but the reality was terminal. The system survived. The car did not. GM engineered how to move a car better than anyone in history. They just forgot to engineer a car worth moving. Subscribe below for more deep-dive automotive forensics and hidden history.